As you all know, I'm quite the alpha human. My intelligence is superb and unmatchable. I am the Goku of geniuses, where no person can best me in a match of wits. I had no rivals going to school because no one could reach my level of performance. Except for Tucker the Oh gosh, this man, he was something else. Like the complete opposite of me. A total idiot, but passed off as some kind of smarty because everything he said was done with confidence. He was cocky and always had to be number one or would throw a fit, and his killer argument style was always, I know you are, but what am I? There was no recovery from it, kinda like today's, no you. An instant slip to victory royale. Being the genius that I was, I knew his type right away. And I also knew that he would never be number one, because that would always be me. While he may not have been the smartest, he didn't care. He only cared about his scores in PE. Since I was a new student, he had held the number one place for the entire school year up to this point. I wasn't only the reincarnation of Einstein himself, I was the perfect genetic creation of man. God himself picked every single one of my genes, his one imperfect specimen, the face of man, though he messed up, with one crucial part of my body. And that was that he accidentally made my penis a little too small. But I digress. On my first day of PE, it was push-ups and sit-ups day. Being a first grader, push-ups were hard and not many people could do them. Tucker was one of the few who could, and the only one to do more than 12. Well, when it was my turn, I got down and cleaned about 50 before my teacher made me stop. Everyone's jaws dropped to the ground, dumbfounded by my abilities. I saw Tucker the fucker mouthing some horrendous stuff to his friends. I let it go and was ready for our next big test, sit-ups. As if possessed, Tucker dropped to the ground and did about 100. Impressive, for someone his age that isn't gifted like me. He came up to me and told me to beat that, sweat dripping down his face. He was already tired. Pathetic. He was smiling and high-fiving all of his buddies who kept saying I'd quit after 4 and start crying for some milk. I got down and did exactly 101, clean, before the teacher stopped me again. And I only plan on doing that extra one just to rub some dirt in. I saw fumes leave his ears. After school that day, he asked me why I thought I owned the school. I reasoned that I was just doing as much as I could without pride. He punched me in the stomach, but his puny little hand did nothing against my titanium abs. I grabbed him by the wrist and turned it around and then uppercutted him, breaking his arm and jawing with one move. He spat half his teeth into the ground. Luckily for him, they were still his baby teeth. This was not a smart move on my end though. His older brother was walking back from school and saw me. He grabbed my neck and took off my shoes and chucked them who knows where. And then he chucked me like a football with perfect form. I spiraled all the way home, but I didn't tell my parents. They didn't need to know. I was their perfect little angel, and if they found out that I was impure and was in a fight, I'd lose my privileges to watch Dragon Ball Z on Saturday mornings. It's the equivalent of not being able to play Fortnite for kids of today. I chose life and went to sleep with dirty feet. I went to school with my white socks, which were black by the time I got there, and was constantly told to put on my shoes, but I tried lying to them that these socks were my shoes. They didn't believe me and handed me rentals. Well, to my luck, Tucker's mother was the nurse responsible for handing out the loaner clothes, and he knew exactly which shoes I would be given. At the moment, I had no idea, but he had placed a small shocking device that electrocuted me at the press button. Sinister, and it was all part of his plan for PE class. And today of all days was the half-mile run, a nightmare conceived in hell for little 6-year-olds. But not for me. I was ready to run in record time and enjoy a little pouch of Capri Sun after besting everyone. We were behind the starting line, and right when the teacher blew the whistle, I felt a jolt of electricity fly through my body. I collapsed face first into the cold ground. At first I thought maybe there was some kind of electrical leak that shocked everyone. But the rest of the students had gone ahead. Some of the students laughed at me. The teacher grabbed my arm and shook me up, telling me to catch up. I took 3 more steps before I felt the shock go through me again. I collapsed. No, if I hadn't seen Tucker looking my way, smirking, I would have never guessed it to be him. I asked my teacher if I could just remove the shoes, telling him that they were the wrong size, and I was tripping over myself. He refused. Removing my shoes would be an instant disqualification. Tucker was in first place, and smirking. I got up and sprinted as fast as I could, but 3 more steps and the electricity stopped me completely. I was above human, but I was still human. I was no way immune to these shocks, and in no way would ever be. Not even Thor was immune to these jolts. How could I? He was almost done with his first lap that I had accepted my own defeat. Fine. There was no way I'd be able to catch up now, so I had to do what I could. I was fueled with rage. I turned around and sprinted towards Tucker. He was surprised and pressed the button by his side, but only a second too late. The electricity gripped me from the inside, but I fell on top of him and just in time for it to travel on him as well. We were both on the ground, squirming in pain. The teacher was not having it anymore and made me sit off to the sides. I managed to take off my shoes and his. I tried switching them, but the teacher noticed and stopped me before I could. It would have been perfect too. But whatever. I kept my shoes off, but by the time Tucker was able to put his own shoes back on, too many of the other students had passed him, even a couple of girls. which as a child boy was a huge blow to his ego. He tied his shoes and sprinted as fast as he could, but to no avail. And nothing was more satisfying than sitting in the corner of the bleachers watching Tucker lose to a handful of the most ordinary kids in our class. It was a small victory for me, but I was glad to teach that little muppet that nothing gets through me. Thanks for watching, and if you want to see more of my life stories, make sure to leave a like. If you don't, well then you'll hurt my feelings and I might still make more videos, just with a little more depression. See ya.